What's going on, my people? It is I, Chris Classic, once again to drop another video on this wonderful morning. First things first, thank you for even tuning in. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button for the Take It Home podcast. Also, follow and subscribe to the C3 YouTube wrestling page. That's the page I run. We have all our matches and a lot of promos, and there's more to come. I wanted to start the year off right by doing this podcast, and I'm thankful for the people who have followed, who have subscribed, shared, commented, and everything. So we're going to do another thing, starting the year off right by the 10 things that you need to know to be an independent wrestler. Now, I'm an independent wrestler. I also own my own company. I also work another job. But eventually, I'm going to provide for my family through wrestling. But at the same time, we're trying to bring legitimacy back into 2021. So, once again, these are the 10 things you need to be a successful independent wrestler. Excuse me, I have it on my phone because I didn't want to forget. The first thing is being professional. It's called professional wrestling for a reason. A lot of people think that professional means you're going to get money. And to a certain extent, that's true for big leagues and things like that. But those aren't called independent companies. But if you are in an independent like I am, you have to be professional. When I say professional, that means you're not acting crazy. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to be safe. You're civil. You're an adult. You know how to adult. You know how to talk to people. You know how to be professional about something. Carrying yourself, you're dressing like a professional wrestler, you're carrying yourself in a positive way. You are representing wrestling in general. So if you're acting like a lunatic, that's a negative thing in wrestling. And it's bad enough that we are already fighting to show the positive, but people highlight the negative and disregard the positive. So remember, you always have to be professional. It's called professional for a reason. We're going to go into more of what does that mean. The second one is punctual. It takes time to set up a ring, set up the chairs, set up the music, get everyone's music, make sure everyone knows their time limit. So when we say punctual, if the boss man says come in at 10 o'clock, be there by 9:30, honestly. If there's a problem, you do need to talk to the promoter. There's things that we have to do, that we have to set up, and we don't really call a crew. The crew are the wrestlers or the referees or whoever we desire or we hired. You know, some of us don't have the funds to hire people to just come in and leave, especially if we're supposed to be a unit. So punctuality, is one of those things that people have to realize it is important. Same thing with punctuality is your matches. If your match is 7 minutes, it should be 7 minutes. It should not be 8 minutes, should not be 9, should not be 10, should not go over. You have to develop a sense on, you know, how long this takes, how much it takes to sell this, and how long it takes to do your match. So remember, punctuality is also very important. The next one is asking veterans for feedback. Now, when I say in wrestling a veteran, what a veteran is someone that everyone looks up to, but also gives back to the wrestling community, whether it be lives, seminars, training, giving people's input. You usually have a couple of them back there in the locker room, and a lot of people respect them. And if you don't know who they are, then you should know by the time you actually go into the locker room, because you're supposed to shake everyone's hand. That goes back into professional. As soon as you come in the door, you shake everyone's hand. The promoter, the referee, the wrestlers, everybody. Even people you may or may not know are part of the show. Shake their hand. But usually after that, guys will tell you, or you see the guys asking them questions about their matches and input on what they can do to improve a character. I would not be where I'm at, and I'm still trying to get there, if it wasn't for guys like C-Red, or even a guy like Atlas, who I talk to from time to time, or a lot of other people. But always ask, hey, if you have time, could you please watch my match? What do I need to work on? How can I improve my character? Why is this not working? And listen to what they have to say. Some of the stuff is constructive criticism. Not everybody's going to break you down. But sometimes you do have to be quiet and actually listen to what they have to say, because sometimes it will change your life for the better. Believe me. If it happened to me, it can happen to you. The next topic. Dues. A lot of people think that dues are just money to run the facility. Dues are actually, being there on time and setting up the ring or setting up everything else and tearing it down and making sure we leave the building on time. The first thing I learned about dues is dues are never not paid. You're going to always pay dues. You have veterans that still do this. And usually veterans, there's rules to where the rookies are supposed to grab the ring is supposed to tear it down before the veterans do. So if the veterans grab it before the rookies do, then that's actually a sign of disrespect. But remember, we're all a team. So dues are training if you have to, or if you're using a ring to wrestle, this is it. I've seen a lot of people try to cut corners because they don't want to pay. But hey, you got to pay to play. I'm sorry, that's just the rules. You have to realize that dues are the reasons why most of us still stay afloat as wrestling companies. If dues are never paid, it's just going to be a debt. And no one's going to care about wrestling because it's the attitude. If you don't care about dues, then you almost don't care about wrestling. Remember that. My next topic on the list is you got to look the part. When I say look the part, that means going to the gym. That means eating right. That means your gear. You have to have wrestling gear that complements who you are. John Cena is one of the top wrestlers ever. But a lot of us cannot go out there and wrestle in jean shorts, tennis shoes, with a hat. Like, we gotta think outside the box now. It works for a few people, but a lot of people are just getting clothes from JCPenney or Kmart or Target or wherever store you desire and consider that gear. There's a lot of websites that sell gear. There are wrestlers that sell older gear that's cheap. There's wrestling boots, there's wrestling shoes, there's kick pads. You can get those on a deal. Those things are very important to look in the part of a wrestler, because if you look like a fan that just came in, what does that say about the company? You do not just represent yourself when you wrestle for a company. You represent the company. You represent your opponent. You represent everybody else. So unless it's character-wise, get you some gear. You have to get some gear. You have to invest in yourself. That is very important. The next one is promote. As you see, I'm actually promoting two things that I'm proud of. The Take It Home podcast, hope you subscribe, and the C3 Wrestling. But I also have shirts. I'm on Facebook a lot, on live, talking to well-respected guys that respect me. We talk on live a lot. Even this YouTube page. This is how I'm promoting myself. Facebook, I'm promoting. I go out and give flyers to people. I print them out. Walgreens, I get 100 and I go out and I promote. I put on cars. I promote the show. You have to promote yourself. If you feel like the companies that you wrestle for aren't promoting you, then you can promote yourself. It's going to cost money. I can't sit here and be like, oh, it's 100% free. The only time it's free is if you get a free app like Facebook and then just promote it. But like I said, you have to promote yourself. If you don't believe that you're going to be a successful independent wrestler, why should we? You got to think about that. This is a very important thing about promoting. Sometimes people just sit back and expect the company to promote them to the moon. But if you don't have the right attitude, you're never going to be promoted to the moon. The next one is, I'm going to get better, guys, I promise. Hygiene. Oh my God. Listen here. You have to, this is part of looking the part. You also have to smell the part too. Nobody wants to be around somebody that smells like 12 cans of Bounce That Butt. If you know what I mean. Like, take a shower. Showers don't take long. And come to the show. Like, there was one point I felt like Axe was like the #1 bought product at Walmart, because that's all I smelled in the locker room was just Axe and Tag and Axe. Like, people used to ask people, hey, you got Tag? And they're just like, you know they stink. You know they stink. Tagged and Axe, they don't even last long. But the fact that they decided that that's supposed to cover that they stink, no, you smell like Axe, and you know what? I almost said it, but I'm trying to keep it G-rated in here. Like, make sure you clean yourself. This is a part of investing. Like, I remember I stood by somebody that smelled so bad that I almost threw up. And it's like, you have to care for yourself. Because if you're not caring for yourself, then you're not caring for us. We might smell like that, unfortunately, after the match, because you decided to feel like, hey, I just wanted to put Axe where I should have used soap and water. We are not asking you a question. We're telling you to go hop in that shower. Hygiene is very important. Make sure your breath don't stink. Get you some gum. You're talking to people. You're talking to fans. And if you smell like you swallowed a bird, a doodle bird down your throat, it's a problem. You cannot do that. Remember that. This is how we're supposed to carry ourselves. You don't want to be the guy that is very successful, but his breath stink or his teeth is yellow. You have to take care of yourself, man. Got to break that stigma. The next thing is communication. Communication is very important when you are an independent wrestler. Things happen. Sometimes we come straight from work and go straight to a show, or sometimes we got to go straight to work after coming from a show. You need to be clear and clarify to your booker, promoter, or whoever runs the show that you may be running late or you may have to leave early. Usually we know when this happens. You shouldn't wait to the last minute, because you might be needed for promos, or you might be needed for something else, or you might have to stay after the show to sign autographs or take pictures with people. So remember, you always have to communicate. If you have questions about being booked somewhere, ask them. Ask around about them as well. Hey, is this a great company? Do they pay well? Do they treat everyone fair? Is it actually a professional company? Remember, these are very important things that I'm trying to help you guys with, because somebody helped me with these things. Communication is key. Talk to your opponent if you can, or if you're friends with them, and see exactly what you guys want to do. And trust me, there are millions of moves, and they probably have 2 different names. So remember that as well. I'm a physical learner, so I usually talk and then we'll go in the ring and then we'll talk about what it is. The next one is training. Training is very important. You can have 5 good matches. You need to train so you can have 5 more good matches. You need to try things safely and be comfortable with it so you can continue to grow. You can continue to be in shape, and you're showing people that you care about wrestling. Some guys, unfortunately, don't have the means to go to practice, or they just don't want to. And sometimes you can see in their matches that they're putting on. Now, some people are good enough to where they don't have to train, but I'm recommending training for everyone. You have to get in that ring, remember how to bump, remember how to take certain things. Training is very important in wrestling. And I believe that a lot of people treat it optional because they love it so much and they have other things they have to do. But if you have the opportunity to train, please train. When I heal from my injury, I'm going straight back to the ring. I'm sorry, I'm going back to train. I was doing it beforehand, and then I'm going to do it afterwards too. Training is very important. Training should be mandatory. Training is not optional. Think about that, guys. The last thing, it ties in everything else. And basically, it's improve. To improve, you have to do all 9 of those things. Carry yourself well. Make sure you smell good. Promote yourself. Be on time. Leave on time. Look the part. Communication. Training. Active veterans. These are things that make people respect you and like you. And you may get a push. I can't speak for every company. But we do have to realize that wrestling is a wonderful and a beautiful blessing for many of us, because some of us couldn't play basketball. Some of us couldn't shoot a basketball. I'm sorry. Couldn't shoot a basketball. Some of us couldn't kick a football. Some of us couldn't sing. Some of us couldn't box. So wrestling is something that saved our life. So what we need to do is we need to be wrestlers, professional wrestlers, and carry ourselves like wrestlers. Improving, this is how you improve. This is how you continue to grow. This is how you bring legitimacy back into wrestling in 2021. Once again, my name is Chris Classic. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and let's take it home.